We start our valedictory session with invocation to be led by Swami Atmapriyananda ji.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahavirjam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shanno Mitra Shambarunah Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramah Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Bhaktaram. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Bhadram Karnebhi Sriniyama Deva Bhadram Pashyemakshabhir Yajatraha Sthirairangai Stushtvagum Sastanobhihi Yashema Devahitam Yadayu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tacchayo Ravrinemahe Gatui Yagyaya Gatui Yagyapataye Daivi Swastirastuna Swastir Manushebhyah Urdhvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astu Dvipade Sham Chatushpade. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
To pay our respect to the Honorable Governor, I request Swami Supurnananda ji, Secretary of this institute, to offer memento to the Governor. Shudeshna and Lucina will assist Maharaj. I will now request Swami Supurnananda ji, the Secretary of Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, to deliver his welcome address.
Om Janani Sharadam Devi Ramakrishnam Jagat Guru Padapadmitayo Sitva Pranamami. We are extremely happy to have in our midst this afternoon our Governor, Shri Nath, Tripathi ji. We invited him once and he readily agreed. And when I, with some of my colleagues, went to invite him on behalf of our institute for today's function, he readily agreed. And he agreed to be the president of the managing committee of our institute, since this is the tradition. When I say this is the tradition, he said, yes, I will obey the tradition. So we are extremely thankful to him. I offer my warm welcome to him and the persons who came from the Raj Bhavan. I welcome the Vice Chancellor, Apapyanandaji, Sarvasthanandaji, Durganandaji, and Nirmalo Babu, Nirmalo Bhattacharya, the Swamis, and the Vice Chancellors, and audience in general. So we have been holding this function from yesterday. Today is the valedictory session, you know. The theme is very interesting. Vice Chancellors participating, and the topic is education for life and living. So we all have a life, simply we do not know how meaningfully we can utilize it. That has to be learned. Sometimes this becomes very difficult for all of us because we are never taught to educate our life. The goal we fix up for our life is not at all very clear. We say that goal is twofold. The first being the progress of society, social progress, or social uplift, social development. And most of us end up with this one. But there is another important goal, which Shri Ramakrishna has repeatedly told us. The goal of human life is to realize God, to have spiritual illumination. We rarely recall it. We rarely live up to that goal. That goal, obviously, as propounded by Vedanta, obviously that goal is still the absolute goal, the goal for self-illumination, the goal to know who we are. But the social goal, social uplift, social progress, economic development, social development, even cultural development. So this is the goal which we must profess in order to have better life, better condition, better environment, better living. Living condition must be better. So that is called Abhyudaya. But most of us, we learn from our educational institution, the first one. The goal how to make ourselves great in the world, and we do not want to do anything for the ultimate truth in us, that is Atma, the spirit. So that's why we need to teach ourselves. And the most erroneous policy that we have been following is that we do not let our boys and girls, when they are in schools and colleges and universities, that there is this second an all-important goal before us. And unless that is told, we have only a truncated life, we have only half a life. And moreover, that life is never be a noble one, a meaningful one. There is no happiness at all. Happiness we get, but we do not know when it will be shadowed by sorrows and anxieties. So that's why it is very, very pertinent to let the university vice chancellors know that yes, there is some such lofty goals before us. Such a lofty goal that rarely we escape. And from the education institution, this should be taught. Not that there will be a set of other spiritual teachers to guide us for the second goal, which says, at least the teachers, they must be well known of this fact. But what kind of society we want to create will depend on what kind of the students or people we are preparing in our schools and colleges and universities. If our goal is to have a peaceful society, a harmonious society, a cooperative society, then obviously we must teach our students so that they can become peaceful. But if they are violent, competitive, aggressive, greedy, how can we expect that with such people galore in our society, we would have a peaceful society to come on? So the basic error is there. But we do not look into this great fact that we have to catch them while they are in the, say, legal institutions. When they are quite grown up, we should just teach them to behave the way. They do not. But we fail in our duty. We try to manage them, control them with police force, with legal matters, this and that coming into the picture. But there have been basic lapses in the very beginning, and we have to carry it on. That's our problem. So it is very nice that our Vice Chancellor, Swami Atma-Priyanandaji, he has taken all the trouble to invite the Vice Chancellors, the best brains in the eastern and northeastern zones, to listen to the speakers and sincerely feel that what should be their task, in what way they should prepare their students, even at this advanced stage. So I think at the end of this session, of this seminar, you have all been very clear in understanding your duty, your job that lies ahead, and we live up to the expectations of the Vice Chancellor. I once again welcome you all. Welcome our Rajyapalji in our midst. Thank you.
May I now request Honorable Governor to deliver valedictory address.
Respected Swami Nath Priyanandaji, Vice Chancellor of the University, Swami Durganandaji, Registrar of the University, Swami Suparnanandaji, Secretary of the Institute of Culture, Professor Aniruddha Deshpandeji, All India Coordinator of the National Committee of Vice Chancellors, Shri Nirmalya Bhattacharya, Coordinator of the present conference, other respected monks of Ramakrishna Mission, the Honorable Vice Chancellor delegates in this conference, Directors of the Indian Council of Agricultural Research Institutes, Deans of Faculties, Scientists, Program Coordinators and Subject Matter Specialists from various Krishi Vigyan Kendra in West Bengal, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, and educationists. It's a matter of great privilege for me to have been invited to this important conference of Vice Chancellors of Universities of Eastern and Northeastern region. I have been told that the directors of the Institutes of Indian Council of Agricultural Research, scientists from these institutes, program coordinators and subject matter specialists of various Krishi Vigyan Kendras of West Bengal are also participating in this conference. This conference, as you are all aware, is part of the series of sustained value education programs undertaken by Ramakrishna Mission, having headquarters at Belur Math, through its vast network of centers and institutions all over India, with financial assistance from the Government of India to commemorate the 158th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda over the last 4 years. The program has now entered the final phase, and one important component of the program is a series of value education programs for professionals, parents and teachers. Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda University has already covered a wide spectrum of professionals from various walks of life: teachers, engineers, doctors, paramedical staff, IT professionals, managers, up to rickshaw pullers, taxi drivers, safai karmis, health workers, etc. Several thousand participants from various strata of society derived immense benefit from these programs. Now, the university wants to cap this series with a 2-day Vice Chancellors Conference of Universities in the Eastern and Northeastern region on 19th and 20th September, wherein are also invited directors and scientists of the ICAR institutes, program coordinators and subject matter specialists of KVKs. As educational administrators and academicians, researchers and teachers in their respective spheres, their participation and active interaction in the deliberations of the conference is of vital importance. Swami Suhitanandaji Maharaj, General Secretary Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission, graced the inaugural session and delivered the inaugural address. It is now my privilege to deliver this valedictory address today. This conference, I am told, is being organized by the Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda University, with the active collaboration of the National Committee of the Vice Chancellors, constituted on the occasion of National Vice Chancellors Conference held at New Delhi during November 2013, under the aegis of Swami Vivekananda Shraddhasati Samaroh, which was very well attended with nearly 120 Vice Chancellors of their nominees participating therein. The general theme of the conference is Education for Life and Living. There were 3 subject sessions on the themes: Great Bharatiya Thinkers on Education, Science Education, Research and Values, and Bharatiya Heritage and Sanskrit Education, wherein several educationists and experts shared their views, accompanied by active interactions with the participating delegates. Bharatiya thinkers in the field of education and their educational vision need to be brought to the forefront once again. All the stakeholders in the field of education ought to reverentially contemplate their great thoughts and find out the ways and means to implement them to rejuvenate our present educational system, to reorientate it in national needs. In Swami Vivekananda said, I quote, "The ideal therefore is that we must have the whole education of our country, spiritual and secular, in our own hands, and it must be on national lines through national methods as far as practical. Unquote. It is therefore true It is therefore appropriate that the very first session of this conference has been devoted to theme Bharati Thinkers in Education. And 4 representative thinkers have been chosen, namely Swami Vivekananda, Swami Aurobindo, Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi. Swami Vivekananda's educational vision is so far-reaching and penetrating that if properly implemented, it is bound to bring about a knowledge revolution in our country. Some of his thoughts are best expressed in his own powerful words. I again quote, "What is education? Is it book learning? No. Is it diverse knowledge? Not even that. The training by which the current and expression of will are brought under control and become fruitful is called education." Unquote. True education may be described as a development of faculty, not accumulation of words, or as a training of individuals to will rightly and efficiently. Unquote. The ideal of all education, all training should be man-making. Education is not the amount of information put into your brain and run right there, undigested, all your life. We must have life-building, man-making, character-making assimilation of ideas. If you have assimilated 5 ideas and made them your life and character, you have more education than any man who has got by heart a whole library. If education is identical with the information, the libraries are the greatest sages in the world and encyclopedias are the rishis. We want that education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. What we want are the Western science. What we want are the Western science coupled with Vedanta, Brahmacharya as the guiding motto, and also Shraddha and faith in one's own self. The idea of true Shraddha must be brought back once more to us. Therefore, teach this life-saving, great, ennobling, great doctrine to your children, even from their very birth. Education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. I look upon religion as the innermost core of education. Mind, I do not mean my own or anyone else's opinion about religion. Religion is the manifestation of the divinity already in man. Unquote. The second session of the conference was devoted respectively to science education, research and values, wherein physical sciences, medical sciences and engineering sciences have been covered. Eminent speakers shared their views, emphasizing the importance of values in science education and research. The third and the last session of the conference dealt with the theme Bharatiya Heritage and Sanskrit Education. Nothing could have been more timely, since it is being keenly felt that our education system should rediscover its roots in our ancient Bharatiya heritage, blending it harmoniously with modern science and technology as envisioned by our great thinkers like Swami Vivekananda. I offer my congratulations to the organizers on this venture and to the participants who have taken great pains to participate actively in this conference, notwithstanding their busy schedule. I do hope that the deliberations of this conference have been a source of great inspiration to all the participants and will go back to their respective places of educational endeavor with renewed vigor and zeal to inspire hundreds of students under their care to work hard for the rejuvenation and reawakening of our beloved mother country. May I conclude with the following powerful exhortation of Swami Vivekananda, quote, "Let us all work hard, my brethren. This is no time for sleep. On our work depends the coming of the India of the future. She is there ready, waiting. She is only sleeping. Arise and awake and see her seated here on her eternal throne, rejuvenated, more glorious than she ever was, this motherland of ours." Unquote. These words, though uttered long back, still hold true and are relevant even today. With the fond hope that the vision of Swami Vivekananda and the dream which he saw will materialize, I conclude my address. Thank you. Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir, for your illuminating valedictory address. I will quote what you said, that all the participants here will go back to their respective places rejuvenated. I will now request our Swamiji, Sarvasthanandaji, to present before us a summary of the whole seminar.
Honorable Governor Shri Keshari Nath Tripathi ji, Revered Vice Chancellor of the Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda University, Revered Swami Atmapriyanand ji Maharaj, Revered Swami Suparnanand ji Maharaj, Swami Durganand ji Maharaj, Nirmal Chatterjee, and other Revered Swamijis, respected Vice Chancellors, Directors of various institutes, and students. It's a proud privilege to summarize the proceedings of this very vital seminar, which forms part of the concluding ceremony of the 150th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda, Education for Life and Living. There were 3 sessions, as was mentioned just now, and we began with an excellent introduction by Revered Swami Atmapriyanand ji Maharaj, who was instrumental in conceiving this conference. And he spoke in the beginning, right at the outset, on the need for education on national lines. At the same time, Swami Vivekananda wanted the best elements of Western education, science and technology and other aspects of Western education were also necessary, because it was Swami Vivekananda who was responsible for the dawn of science movement, also science and technological movement in India, by inspiring people like Jamshedji Tata to start the first Institute of Higher Education and so many other aspects. He discussed these things in the light of the need to rediscover our roots through our ancient heritage. This was followed by Revered Swami Suparnanand's talk, excellent talk on education for living and education for life. He discussed the subtle distinction between the two and the need for inculcating those eternal values in our university education system. After that, there was a very inspiring talk or address by Revered Swami Suritanji Maharaj, the General Secretary of the Ramakrishna Mission, who mentioned that the people who are assembled here, the Vice Chancellor, may be termed as a creative minority, because in their hands lies the responsibility of channelizing the youth energy, especially the student community. And he emphasized and he mentioned a very interesting incident of a Vivekananda's Shiksha or Sanskriti Parishad in Dhaka, which was headed by a Muslim professor of that university, and he emphasized the need for starting such Vivekananda institutes in our universities as well. Chair for Vivekananda Studies and Centers for Positive Thinking. And also he has emphasized one more aspect in his address, the need for giving a service orientation to our education system. And like cleanliness, and there are so many values which are appear to be very small, but they are very vital. And if those values are inculcated in our universities through the students and the faculty members, that would be a good beginning to rediscover our roots. Then the next session, the first technical session, was on the great Bharatiya thinkers on education. the four pioneers of the pioneers of our educational system, we can call them, if we can call them so. The talk began with Swami Sarvapriyananda, Acharya of our Probationers Training Center at Belunmat, who spoke about the educational ideas of Swami Vivekananda and how to implement them in the modern context. He spoke of the 5 major aspects of education: the purpose, the method, the syllabus, the role of teachers, and the core of education, which according to Swami Vivekananda is religion. An excellent talk on the educational philosophy of Shri Aurobindo by Dr. Jayanti Ravi, who also was the Higher Education Commissioner of Gujarat State and now is the Labour Commissioner there. So she spoke on, and then she mentioned the 3 salient aspects of Aurobindo's educational philosophy: education through instruction, education through example, and more importantly, education through inspiration, about which Swami Vivekananda also mentioned. It is the teacher who inspires the students to follow their footsteps. Next was a speech, excellent speech on the educational philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore by Professor Sabujkali Sen, Professor of Philosophy of Vishwa Bharati University. She spoke about the key core points or the core ideas of Sri Rabindranath Tagore, that is freedom, how only under a free atmosphere that natural learning can take place. She also spoke of a holistic type of education which emphasized on fullness and also a harmony between the East and the West, and education which did not believe in having fragmented boundaries. A universal type of education which motivated or which inspired Rabindranath Tagore to start the Vishwa Bharati at Shantiniketan. Then Swami Varishtananji ended the first session by the all-encompassing ideas of life-oriented education as expounded by the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi. The Bunyadi Talim, we discussed what Bunyadi Talim was, what Nahi Talim was, and how Gandhi conceived of a complete education, which was again inspired by Swami Vivekananda, as he mentioned, to have the nationalistic roots, be intensely practical based on moral values, at the same time scientific in spirit. The next session, which was held today in the morning from 10 to 12 noon, it was on the theme Science, Research, Ethics and Values. So 2 eminent scientists, one from the field of physical sciences, Professor Shivaji Raha, who is also the director of the Bose Institute at Kolkata, spoke on ethics in research, especially giving the example of Jagdish Chandra Bose, who believed that knowledge was for entire humanity. So he refused to patent his inventions and how others took advantage. In this highly commercial age of professional education, it comes as a beacon light. This example of Jagdish Chandra Bose, who had deep nationalistic roots and who believed that education should be for the benefit of humanity. Then we had an excellent talk by Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee, who is an eminent neurosurgeon and also is connected with the Vivekananda Institute of Medical Sciences. He spoke on, right from Charaka to the present day, what is the fundamental need for ethics, especially in the medical field when we are playing with the lives of patients, or when we are treating human beings. It's a very noble profession. And to what extent economy and especially economic issues have degraded them, and the urgent need to have medical ethics as part of the medical education in our country. That was discussed in a very poignant way, giving a lot of examples, real life examples, what is happening in our medical education today. This was followed by the chairman's address by Professor Ajay Kumar Rai, director of IIEST Shibpur. He spoke of he gave a wonderful example. He narrated a story of Satyakama by one of the famous authors of Bengal. How a person, by holding on to integrity values like integrity and honesty, could lead an entire life based on a true life story. And he finally said, where the mind is fearless, he quoted Tagore and also spoke about the holistic approach of all our great leaders, educationists who were trained in the nationalistic way, who had the Bharatiyata element inculcated in them. So he spoke of those values which should guide our education, especially in the professional area. Next, the last session was the third technical session from 12:30 to 1:45 was a very important session on Bharatiya heritage and Sanskrit education. Swami Vivekananda once said that Sanskrit gives power and prestige. Our Sanskriti cannot be separated from Sanskrit. And this was the language which was vehicle for all the knowledge which we developed over several centuries based on eternal values, whether people call it sacred or secular. In fact, Swami Vivekananda said everything is sacred. So all knowledge was considered secular, including the language, the very language Sanskrit itself is a Dev Bhasha. It is a sacred language. Its grammar also is considered to be philosophy. So this Bharatiya heritage, what real Bharatiyata means, this was discussed in the light. Also, it was there was another speaker, Dr. R.N. Iyengar, who also spoke of the Vedic heritage of scientific naturalism. People normally criticize our Bharatiya heritage as unscientific, but effort was made by both the speakers in this session to show how scientific was our ancient heritage. The scientific bent of mind was never absent, and people could give up their pet ideas if newer and better ideas came. That is the greatness of our Sanskriti, all absorbing Sanatana Dharma or our culture, which Bharatiyata is a great culture which has survived so many years. So the revival, especially in the university system, the revival of the Bharatiyata and the Bharatiya heritage, Sanskriti as well as Sanskrit, which was the vehicle, was discussed in this last session. And now we are in the valedictory session. It's a very we had a very inspiring address by Honorable Governor and Governor Shri Tripathi ji, and I'm sure all who have attended this seminar will, as he asked us to take back home all the noble ideas which were discussed here and try our little bit as our great educators and the pioneers of education like Swami Vivekananda, Aurobindo, Mahatma Gandhi and others have inspired us to be firmly rooted in this nationalistic Bharatiya heritage and take our nation forward. Thank you.